One place to look for clues about human evolution is in a baboon colony. Like humans, baboons are intelligent social primates, and they come in a variety of species. Here, at the Southwest National Primate Research Center, most are olive baboons from the African savanna. But some are hamadryas, desert baboons, with a distinct pink face and white mane. When they come into contact, the two species will naturally try to mate. But with what results? Researchers here know the family tree of every new infant. They've been able to prove that olives and hamadryas can easily interbreed and produce healthy hybrid offspring.
So this is one of our hybrid males. You can see he's got some pink in the face, but it's not as bright and dramatic as in the purebreds, and he's got other traits.
Anthropologist Trenton Holliday is getting his first look at a hybrid baboon.
Yeah, I was thinking the hair around his head looked like a hamadryas.
The implications are obvious. If these baboons can interbreed, then perhaps modern humans and Neanderthals were doing the same. Some scientists believe that any two species of mammal which have evolved apart for less than 2 million years have the ability to interbreed.
These baboons have been separated from each other somewhere between 500,000 and 1.8 million years ago. If we look to the modern human versus Neanderthal example, we believe that those two species diverged somewhere between 200,000 and 750,000 years ago, much less time. So if these baboons can get together and interbreed, then absolutely Neanderthals and modern humans would have come together, interbred, and produced viable, fertile offspring that could have then reproduced themselves.
If modern humans and Neanderthals did hybridize, could we tell what sort of features their offspring would have had? It's impossible to say for sure. Hybridization is always an unpredictable process.
If we think about the baboon example, sometimes they're a little bigger than their parents, sometimes they're a little smaller than their parents, sometimes they have very pink skin, and sometimes it's a little more gray. But what hybridization does is it brings traits and features together that may not have been brought together in the parental populations. I think the same thing would be true of Neanderthals and modern humans. When they come together, there are going to be new combinations of features that the world had never seen before. And sometimes those new combinations and features would have been advantageous.
Researchers have found just such features and traits in hybrid baboons, mostly among the teeth.
In the hybrid male baboons, 50% of them had extramolar teeth. And in many cases, it wasn't just one extra tooth, but it was on both sides. We found one specimen who actually has 2 canines on either side of his jaw. That is very rare. So this really shows us that when 2 different types of baboons come together and hybridize, you get an increase in the amount of variation in that hybrid population. And that accelerates the process of evolution because selection requires variation to work. The more variation, the more rapidly natural selection can occur.
Is this what happened in human history? Did hybridization speed up our evolution?
It's obvious to anybody on the street that there is an enormous amount of variation in superficial features, pigmentation, hair form, eye color, nose shape. And there's a growing number of these genetic traits that you truly cannot explain in 40,000 years of evolution.
If our ancestors left Africa and started colonizing the world without interbreeding, it's much harder to account for all the genetic diversity of modern people. Some scientists believe that too little time has passed. But if our ancestors left Africa and then blended with ancient humans like the Neanderthals, natural selection would have been given a jolt, producing far greater diversity. This is still only a theory, and many scientists are skeptical about inferring too much from the behavior of baboons.
Interbreeding must have been possible, at least on some level. Closely related species of primates and other mammals interbreed on occasion, so I don't see why Neanderthals and modern humans wouldn't. But the evidence for it is just not there at the moment.
Supporters of hybridization believe the evidence does exist, but most of it is invisible to archaeologists. When two closely related species hybridize, the most significant impact is in soft tissue. Subtle changes to the workings of the organs, to the wiring of the brain, to the structure of cells. These will never show up in bones. But there is another place to look for them.
What a lot of people have been hoping for is that there will be something to settle this argument. And what is hoped will settle it is the genetics. With genetics, you're dealing with information, and the information is in a genetic sequence, and it's hard to argue with that.
For a decade, geneticists have been able to sequence tiny amounts of mitochondrial DNA from Neanderthal bones. But to find proof of hybridization, they need to sequence the entire genome, all the particles of DNA in a cell. And that's easier said than done. Neanderthal bones are so old and degraded that very little DNA survives. And precious few of them are ready to surrender the secrets of their genetic code.